Welcome to the High School Visual Arts Contest 2020. This year, our contest award ceremony will be virtual, and I'm joined by our panel of judges, Dan Gray, Scott Hochhalter, and Jessica Brosvik. WBCA's mission is to enrich lives by celebrating art, nourish imagination by inspiring creativity, and build understanding by connecting people. A sponsor of the contest has been the Vadnais Heights Area Community Foundation. I would like to thank our platinum sponsors, Riel Manufacturing, Schweeters Construction and Building Supply, Emergency Contractor Services, and Schweeters Pottery, as well as our gold sponsors, Mueller Memorial, the Pillars of White Bear Lake, Boyum and Barrenshire, New Studio Architecture, and Steve Goranson Video. This activity is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a Minnesota State Arts Board operating support grant, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. We'd also like to thank our school coordinators. There's many more that participated that aren't listed this year. It seems like the word got out about the contest and there were more submissions than ever. We also have additional prizes from Minneapolis College of Art and Design, as well as some gift cards from Wet Paint. About the show, this year there was 100 pieces that were selected. The show includes 67 students, and it's open to the students in the greater Northeast metro area, including the following schools: Forest Lake, Matamidi, Mounds View, Stillwater Area High School, White Bear Lake, North and South Campus, and St. Croix Prep Academy. But there were a few other students from other areas that also submitted work. The awards are as follows. We have 3 judges' choices, 3 honorable mentions, 3 awards of merit, 2 awards of excellence, 1 gallery director's award, and a best of show. I would especially like to thank our judges this year. They were very knowledgeable and wonderful to work with. I'd like them to say a few words about themselves. Our first judge, Jessica Brosvik.
Hello there. My name is Jessica Brosvik. I'm from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. I'm actually an MCAT alumni, graduated in 2006, but currently am the Assistant Director of Admissions at MCAT, and I also work with international students.
Okay, next we have Dan Gray.
Hi, I'm Dan Gray. I taught in Matamidi for 35 years. I was majorly in the pottery area, but I also introduced digital photography, digital 2 and 3D animation. I've been retired for a couple years, but I worked, as I say, for 35 years. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And next, Scott Hochhalter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Hochhalter, also Assistant Director of Admissions for the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. I'm an artist and work on various projects. Currently working on a photo documentary about people along the waterfront, which you can still find people conjugating, as well as porch portraits, taking pictures of families at their doorstep. So we are giving away 3 pre-college studio intensive awards, which are week-long summer classes at MCAD. They're worth 1 credit, and the award is based on the artistic merits of the artwork that was submitted for this exhibition. So, there's a lot of extraordinary talent, but we are giving 3 awards for the awards of excellence, as well as the best in show.
Okay, first we're going to start with the Judges' Choice Awards, and we'll start with Jessica's choice.
Great. So, for Renee Williams' piece entitled Help. This piece really stood out to me as a photograph because I understand the difficulty in creating the actual shot, not only from the angle used and the pose, but from actually turning the water into this kind of creamy color. It's not something easy to do, and it's something that I feel showed a lot of emotion and a lot of insight into, humanity and the artist's point of view. And the composition is also great. And I would encourage this artist to continue taking photographs about, you know, what they want to take photographs about. I really love it. Congratulations.
Next, we have Judge Dan Gray's choice.
This is the glazed vase by Samuel. I chose this one basically because of the strong control and shape and geometrical form covered by the colored area, combined with kind of an organicness of the form too, especially as you see it goes working towards the top. It's a very nice piece. The lower area, basically where the color is, comes off very, as I would say, organic. It looks like lichen. It looks like some patina. So it creates a really nice character about that. The overall piece is done very well. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have a Scott's choice.
In Between Worlds is a really excellent photograph and a great example of taking something rather banal and showing it in an extraordinary way. How objects become bands of color, not immediately recognizable, but instead broken down into color and form to create something new and unexpected. I think it's a great perspective, a great view, and just a very lovely photograph.
Thank you. Next, we'll start the categories of honorable mentions. And the first one is Gambler's Luck by Tyler Schwapuk.
I think the detail in this ring piece, I've done lost wax technique rings myself, and I really enjoyed the amount of detail that this student had within not only the dice, but the overall shapes.
Gambler's Luck is a really interesting and well-crafted, one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And I think that that's something to note. Like, art is also part of our everyday life. And to create a valuable object that has such a unique message is really sweet. I think the technique really comes across well, and this is something that the students should keep doing. I think that they could make some really nice three-dimensional pieces.
We have Elegant Picture by Isaac Hohenbrink.
As I look at that, I like the interest in the strength of the handles being up there. They're very geometrical in shape, in contrast a bit with the actual form. The form itself has some changes in it in movement. It's not so precise. Knowing that I think it's about 15 to 18 inches tall, it's quite a feat in itself. I do like the variation of colors and how they handle it with the handles and with the main form. Very, very nice piece.
Thank you. Okay, and the next one, Tricycle by Lee Fassner.
I can speak about this one as well as a painter myself. Not only the amount of detail in the work, but the fact that the student was able to use different variations of brush stroke, not only with the background, but with the chrome of the bike, the glistening, red of the seat, the plasticity of the handles, as well as the, kind of rubbery feel of the tires. Very well rendered. And the shadows and other shapes within the background also lend it to a nice contrast.
Well, what I also like about this, Jessica, is that the piece that Lynn did here is that the really strong geometric shapes and forms are there, but it's with that abstract background. It gives it energy. And if you look at the difference there, look at the shadow difference down below. And the wheel itself, it seems like it's a much larger form, much more energetic. And I see in the background a huge tire. You have to kind of see if you can find it. But it gives me this impression I'm just getting my tricycle, and I'm going to be a speed demon. I could get out there it creates that relationship with a bike that a little kid would have. It's a beautiful piece.
Well, thank you. Okay, our next category is Awards of Merit. The first one, Headless by Lily Vanderwood.
I like this piece. It's kind of an everyday scene. I mean, the road scene, the landscape, the horizon line. These are things you see every day, but not necessarily from this perspective. And so what caught me in this was taking something we see every day and getting a different view of it, and looking at the largeness of the road from a small animal perspective, and then realizing the reality of what happens by our relationship with that at that point. I like the perspective. I like the way it's laying basically on the side of the road, but the line identifying that distance and space, but the close-upness is again a very strong approach to creating emotions and feelings in regards to this kind of everyday normal scene we see.
I completely agree with Dan. This is a piece that Dan and I both really enjoyed. So congrats.
And for those of you, it is sort of grotesque in what it's capturing. Hopefully we don't see this every day, the violence of roadkill. But I really love the low angle. I think that perspective is really beautiful in the composition.
Thank you. Okay. Next, Negative Connection by Owen Nelson.
I like this piece, and since my area of background is in pottery, is that one, I know how it's made, in that it's not an easy process to learn, but it's once you get a hold of it, it's very neat. Making the form, repeating the shape, how you lay out the pieces here, create a very strong form. But what I like mostly about it, it's something that's constantly changing. It's an interactive form that if I had in my house, I could rearrange it in a different form and different ways. So there's an interaction between the owner and the piece itself, or anyone that's looking at it can always change and respond to it. But it's a replication of different sizes of shapes. It's the connective points, and it's also, at this point, it really shows well.
It's very simplistic in its forms, but the repetition of those forms and interlocking connection between them add to the intrigue and the composition as possible intent. I really like what Dan said, how this is a piece that can be exhibited in multiple ways. So it is sort of an ongoing process between the artwork and the viewer or the owner of that piece. I also really enjoyed the title. This is something we didn't see when we were looking at the works themselves, but I think that adds another layer to this. I think that overall it's just a beautiful piece, and it's a shame that we can't see it exhibited at this time.
This is another piece, Reclaim by Helen Nelson.
I enjoy the composition of this piece quite a bit, and the juxtaposition between a harsher car, with rust, and the organic mushrooms.
I like it because I have two trucks out back just now, 1950, and it reminds me of them. I like the different angles they're able to pull. As you look straight across with the body, it's kind of parallel to top and bottom, but the door gives you the angle shots, create much more interest. The variation of different sizes of shapes there from the mushrooms. And I also see in the patina or the rusting as it comes down, it gives me the same feel that it kind of replicates the shape that you have there with the mushroom. A very, very nice piece.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and now Awards of Excellence. Our first piece is Embryonic Development in the Year 3000 by Michael Finch.
I think this work is really incredible, and it's very complex and engaging. I think that with multiple views, you're required to explore the intricacies of each individual form, as well as the collection that it makes as those forms come together from different perspectives. I think that there's one sort of perfect angle that shows all of these different forms layered together, and it's very engaging. It's sort of disturbing and dark, and I think that's why this artist chose to photograph it in kind of a black space instead of a white space, but we still get a clear sense of the forms.
I just like to add that I really am glad that this artist is choosing to, you know, go outside of the box, and they're not afraid to come up with their own imagery, no matter what that is. And I would say to continue to do so.
And the part of the picture being named in the year 3000, the picture itself, when you talk about an embryo, it looks rather aged or older. And the image itself, in the roughness of it, gives me a feeling of medieval times or dark ages. And so when you kind of put that conceptually together, dark ages in year 3000, it's kind of a projection of where things may be. I like the thoughtfulness that this brings out in people.
Next, our other word of excellence is Big Boy by Ella Colton.
I like this piece in particular because it seems to be bringing that concept of one with nature. And you can begin to see how they interplay lines and shapes with the form and the trees in the background, and that you can start to see it growing from one to the other. You can see it by the part of his back becoming a tree, the hands coming out. How they indicate the line and usage of line really creates that connectiveness between nature and the human form. I do find it in part, there are some religions that really kind of pull this oneness and selflessness. And I think in this picture, I see that. In this picture, especially when you look at the face, you begin to see that combination of selflessness and that point of coming one with nature.
I see a lot of that as well, but I also interpret it as, you know, kind of like an overcoming or a being taken over by nature too. And whether it's voluntary or not, it's definitely a oneness with nature. And I also like the use of the colors in contrast, but also their similarities with the nature background and as far as the trees and everything, to still differentiate between the forms, but also give it that connectedness.
Beautiful technique. I think the layering of paint, the color is very engaging. And I think this is a piece that somebody would appreciate having because of perhaps maybe not knowing exactly what the content is. I think there's different ways of interpreting it.
Thank you. And now for our Director's Award. This is a piece that I chose. I hope I'm saying this right. It's Ba Moi by Heidi Trin. What I really love about this piece is I feel like I know the people that she drew. There's just so much life, and I was reading that book by T. Bowie, and I just feel that you know, that's why this caught my imagination too, that there's a whole story in this drawing.
Well, I like the contrast between the background and foreground. The actual real strength in drawing of portraits and the clothing and all that stuff, and then with a very, very sketchy background. To me, that really comes off strong in the point of that, the point of drawing and the variations there.
Yes. The next award is Best of Show, and the winner this year is One of Many, Madeline Colton.
Congratulations, Madeline.
Yes, congratulations.
I'm going to jump in. This piece, I definitely jumped out for me as Best in Show because of the painterly quality to it and the sketch quality to it, the use of color. I like the way that red is used to denote volume, but also this kind of sense of perhaps humanity or violence at the same time. It's just a wonderfully intriguing piece because of the composition and the mark making.
I liked it because of the strength of the form, the physical form, and what they choose to define very clearly. You can take, if you look at the Admiral, and you can see that there's some real understanding of the human form, muscle, and ability to be able to paint and draw. And you can look at other forms where they kind of become more abstract or vague. And it's a conversation piece to why there's more definement in one place and another place, but the overall strength of the form is that relationship between abstract, to me, abstract and clear definement and strength. You know, when I look at the body position in whatever environment it's in, whatever that background is, and whatever is you see or don't see as far as all there, as far as the figures form, there's a strength in that form. And again, I get a very female figure there, standing very strong and standing against anything that can happen to her. She has that strength.
That's a great observation. Yeah, I just see a very kind of like defiant or self-empowering pose for that figure, which I really love.
And I just want to remind you to go to the website, and you can see all of the selected works in the entire show. And some of those works will have artist statements that will help you understand or see what the student was trying to do. And thank you for being a part of your art center, and we need you now more than ever as we try to get through these difficult times. So please stay tuned for some of our creative care packages that we're sending out, and check in our website for things to do. Thank you.
The Minneapolis College of Art and Design would like to give 3 pre-college studio intensive awards for the Awards of Excellence winners, which is Big Boy by Ella Colton, and Embryonic Development in the Year 3000 by Michael Finch, as well as The Best in Show, One of Many by Madeline Colton,